All right, everybody, good morning. Here we are. It's 6:22 a.m. Eastern Time here, and we're going to be departing from Pennsylvania and heading over to Canada. So we are going to go ahead, hop into the airplane here. We already got clearance for takeoff on runway number 27. We are N11361 is our tail number. So we're going to go ahead and turn on our safety and seatbelt lights for our passengers. Alright, we got a good look over there. We're going to get rid of our flaps. 18% trim is fine for the Cessna CJ4. And we're going to go ahead and release our parking brake and head on out of here. So appreciate you guys tuning in this Saturday morning. We had a nice smooth landing earlier. So we're going to hope to...
Bon voyage, aircrew. We hope to see you again soon.
We're going to hope to keep up that same pattern there. Make a right bank here. Go ahead, open up our nav map here just to kind of keep track of where we are. So we are headed up towards, well, that's Maine, but we'll map it out in a second. Alright, cruising speed is just getting to that red there, so we're going to thumb back on that a little bit. Make sure we didn't spook our passengers. We did touch it for a second. Alright, we did not. Everybody is still looking good. Since we are at cruising altitude here, how high are we? Alright, let's go ahead and adjust our altitude here. Just go to about 5,000. Currently sit at 24, so should be able to speed up a little bit, and then we'll start climbing. In the meantime, we can probably go ahead and take off our seatbelt and our safety lights for our passengers, and we'll get a drink going. Increase that 55% satisfaction rate. We'll get it up to 100. And pulling over our maps here, this is where we're going in Canada. So we're going to be flying over Lake Ontario. So zoom out, I guess. There you go, Lake Ontario, as we head over into New York, passing just east of Rochester. everything is looking good, ladies and gentlemen. We are currently over Pennsylvania. We are headed to Canada. Alright, so yeah, we are super excited that NeoFly seems to be up and going, almost full swing. We just don't have the nav map 100% functioning, but we are using it for
altitude.
A little bit of navigation, but not too much, not like we did before. But we're going to work on it and see if we can get that up and going in the next couple of weeks, maybe, just for a time frame. Alright, we can retract our wheels. I believe we can settle in and enjoy the sunrise here. Kind of like that one for the thumbnail. We might change it up. And in the meantime, we'll contact New York Center at 124.9.
New York Center, Cessna November 11361 is type Cessna C25C, 11 miles north of Papa Alpha 5,100 feet. Request flight following. Cessna November 11361 New York Center, squawk 7544. Squawk 7544 Cessna Tree 61. Cessna Tree 61 radar contact 10 miles southwest of 0 Papa Alpha, tree 5,000 feet, altimeter 29er, 86. Roger, Cessna Tree 61.
Alright,
Cessna Tree 61,
2986.
contact New York Center on 1 Tree Tree. Tree 5. Good day. Going to 1 Tree Tree. Tree 5 Cessna Tree 61. New York Center, Cessna November 11 Tree 61 5,100 feet.
Cessna, November 11 Tree 61 New York Center, altimeter 29er. 86 radar contact continue.
Alright, so 2986 is approximately 1011 on the barometric pressure. That's in inches. So it's millibars to inch conversion. We'll go ahead and take a screenshot.
Cessna Tree 61, contact Elmira approach on 128, 425. Good day.
128, 425 Cessna Tree 61.
I think that broke ATC. Yeah, I'm pasting over a conversion chart for the altimeter, the millibars over to inches, so we can get a accurate pressure reading here in the CJ4. I think we're over enough to the right of our reader there, and let's see where we're kind of headed up to. Alright, so we are getting ready to cross over into New York State from Pennsylvania, and we're basically following, I think this is State Road 14. We move this over, get rid of that. So Elmira, that right there, Southport, Pine City, and West Elmira. We're basically headed that way. And a little bit of a populated area here, and this is that State Road 14 that I'm talking about. And this is the border, so we are momentarily going to be in the state of New York, ladies and gentlemen. Crossing over to New York State now. Keep an eye on the elevation here, make sure that the ground doesn't meet us. Sun is almost all the way up. Current local time 6:36 a.m. Cruise speed 201, 202.
Delta 259er 6 descend and maintain FL 220.
That's not us. So Delta 2596.
Descend and maintain FL 220 Delta 259er 6.
I'm looking for them in the area. Oop, is that them up there? There they are, Delta 2596. See if we can get them up in the picture there. No, we gotta zoom out. I think we lost them. We saw them for a second. See if we can pull up the map here and see them. I think that might be them. Oh, no, this is them right here. They were pretty much right on top of us. There's the Elmira Corning Regional Airport. We're starting to see Lake Ontario off into the distance. So we basically just had to fly over that and then make a nice smooth landing over at runway 27. And this is what I'm looking at on the map here. So this is the part of Canada that we are headed over to. I'm going to see if this is the airport. Is it the Mohawk airfield? Let's go ahead and bring this up and see if we can. Let's see if that's our yes, it is. The Mohawk Airport, CPU6. So this is our airport. Just basically right there past Prince Edward. That's not the one. We lost it. That's why I wish we could enter in the airport again here. We got to get this thing fixed. We'll see if there's a workaround to it. Alright, nonetheless, I'll play around with that on the other side. That ding was Camille finishing her safety instructions after we spooked her for the little bit of overspeed. But she is good to go there. So this is our second flight today. We had one earlier flying into Pennsylvania from Lewisburg, North Carolina. So we're making our way from North Carolina to Canada today.
American 530 climb and maintain FL 280.
It's not us.
Climb and maintain FL 280, American 530.
Alright, let's see if we can find out what this body of water is. This is Seneca Lake here. And that almost goes up to Lake Ontario, but not quite. It will stop. And this actually feeds up into Geneva, New York. And we're going to be flying a little bit close in between Geneva and Seneca Falls. And there's another lake here off to our left. It's basically just like a couple of little like finger lakes. We got one off to the left there, smaller. and the one off to our right is basically about the same size as this one, and they almost end in the same place. So, and we also have Ithaca, New York off to the right here. Little fact here, this is off to our left is Dundee, or New York. I was going to say Pennsylvania, but it's not. Let's see if we can zoom in here. There's Dundee Flying Club. We got Green Lawn Farm. Don't know if my eyes can read that one back there. That's Penyan, 13 nautical miles away. Zoom in here, take a look at Lodi Volunteer Fire Company. They got a helipad there, about 7 miles out. And there's Seneca Air Force Base. Good. We're going to just adjust our heading here, just a couple of clicks to the left. Get a little bit closer to that line. And we'll basically fly right over the Air Force Base. Kind of curious. What was that called? Bush Talk Radio. Let's see if we can log into that. I don't think we'll actually log into it here. Yeah, I don't think Bush Talk Radio works on that, or at least we don't have it plugged in. But what we can do is zoom in here and see if we got any stuff to talk about. So there's Seneca Lake. We can play the radar or radio on that.
Seneca Lake is the largest of the glacial finger lakes of the U.S. state of New York, and the deepest lake entirely within the state. It is promoted as being the lake trout capital of the world, and is host of the National Lake Trout Derby. Because of its depth and relative ease of access, the U.S. Navy uses Seneca Lake to perform test and evaluation of equipment ranging from single-element transducers to complex sonar arrays and systems. The lake takes its name from the Seneca Nation of Native Americans. At the north end of Seneca Lake is the city of Geneva, New York, home of Hobart and William Smith Colleges and the New York State Agricultural Experiment Station, a division of Cornell University. At the south end of the lake is the village of Watkins Glen, New York, famed for Watkins Glen International Racetrack. Due to Seneca Lake's unique macroclimate, it is home to over 50 wineries. Seneca Lake was formed at least 2 million years ago by glacial carving of streams and valleys. Originally, it was a part of a series of rivers that flowed northward. Around this time, many continental glaciers moved into the area and started the Pleistocene glaciation, also known as the Ice Age. It is presumed that the Finger Lakes were created by many advances and retreats of massive glaciers that were up to 2 miles wide. Over 200 years ago, there were Iroquois villages on Seneca Lake surrounding hillsides. During the American Revolutionary War, their villages, including Seneca Castle, were wiped out during the 1779 Sullivan Expedition by Continental troops under order by General George Washington to invade their homeland, destroy their dwellings and crops, and conduct a campaign of genocide. They destroyed nearly 50 Seneca and Cayuga villages. Today, roadside signs trace Sullivan's route along the east side of Seneca Lake, where the burning of villages and crops occurred.
Alright, so that's Seneca Lake. And then we have the town of Geneva just off to the top of the lake there. And then on the top of this lake is actually Seneca Falls. So we can go ahead and play that one.
The Seneca Falls Convention was the first women's rights convention. It advertised itself as a convention to discuss the social, civil, and religious condition and rights of women. Held in the Wesleyan Chapel of the town of Seneca Falls, New York, it spanned 2 days over July the 19th to the 20th, 1848. Attracting widespread attention, it was soon followed by other women's rights conventions, including the Rochester Women's Rights Convention in Rochester, New York, 2 weeks later. In 1850, the first in a series of annual national women's rights conventions met in Worcester, Massachusetts. Female Quakers local to the area organized the meeting along with Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who was not a Quaker. They planned the event during a visit to the area by Philadelphia-based Lucretia Mott. Mott, a Quaker, was famous for her oratorical ability, which was rare for non-Quaker women during an era in which women were often not allowed to speak in public. The meeting comprised 6 sessions, including a lecture on law, a humorous presentation, and multiple discussions about the role of women in society. Stanton and the Quaker women presented 2 prepared documents, the Declaration of Sentiments and an accompanying list of resolutions, to be debated and modified before being put forward for signatures. A heated debate sprang up regarding women's right to vote, with many, including Mott, urging the removal of this concept, but Frederick Douglass, who was the convention's sole African-American attendee, argued eloquently for its inclusion, and the suffrage resolution was retained. Exactly 100 of approximately 300 attendees signed the document, mostly women. The convention was seen by some of its contemporaries, including featured speaker Mott, as one important step among many others in the continuing effort by women to gain for themselves a greater proportion of social, civil, and moral rights, while it was viewed by others as a revolutionary beginning to the struggle by women for complete equality with men. Stanton considered the Seneca Falls Convention to be the beginning of the women's rights movement, an opinion that was echoed in the History of Women's Suffrage, which Stanton co-wrote. The convention's Declaration of Sentiments became the single most important factor in spreading news of the women's rights movement around the country in 1848 and into the future, according to Judith Wellman, a historian of the convention. By the time of the National Women's Rights Convention of 1851, the issue of women's right to vote had become a central tenet of the United States women's rights movement. These conventions became annual events until the outbreak of the American Civil War in 1861.
Alright, so the other thing that I just saw on here was this. So we are headed up towards Rose, New York, right here. We're basically going to be flying right over it. And I saw a thing on that on Bush Talk Radio. So here we are, Bush Talk Radio, Rose, also known as Hamlet, New York, and it's in Wayne County. So we're going to go ahead and play that one.
Rose is a hamlet in the town of Rose, Wayne County, New York, United States. It is located 5 miles north of the village of Clyde and 3 miles south-southeast of the hamlet of North Rose at an elevation of 420 feet. The primary crossroads where the hamlet is located are NY Route 414, Wayne Center Rose Road and Walcott Road. A United States Post Office is located in Rose with a zip code of 14,542. The Bernard Farnsworth Museum is located at the Rose Community Center in the hamlet. It exhibits a number of items throughout the town's history. The building was formerly Rose Elementary School.
Alright, and then as we make our way out of the state of New York here, this is Lake Ontario. And we're going to find the Bush Talk Radio on that. So here's Lake Ontario. It's one of the 5 Great Lakes here in North America. This is only a minute long.
Lake Ontario is one of the 5 Great Lakes of North America. It is surrounded on the north, west, and southwest by the Canadian province of Ontario, and on the south and east by the American state of New York, whose water boundaries meet in the middle of the lake. Ontario, Canada's most populous province, was named for the lake. The Canadian cities of Toronto, Kingston, and Hamilton are located on the lake's northern and western shorelines, while the American city of Rochester is located on the south shore. In the Huron language, the name Ontario means Great Lake. Its primary inlet is the Niagara River from Lake Erie. The last in the Great Lakes chain, Lake Ontario serves as the outlet to the Atlantic Ocean via the St. Lawrence River. It is the only Great Lake not to border the state of Michigan.
Alright, so we're looking good. We got some planes around us. And we're going to be flying into, I think it's runway 27. It is, and we're going to be crossing over this river at some point. And we're going to be landing in CPU 6 here in Canada. Just on the border of New York. And I think what our goal here from our friend in Belgium, they want to see Maine, so we're going to try to work our way up towards the top of Maine here and then fly into Canada some more. So we will see what we can do about that. It'll probably be another flight or 2 before we get there, because we're trying to keep these videos in some sort of reasonable length. So we were 500 miles away, so it would take us a hefty trip to get there if we were to do that in one shot. But considering we started in North Carolina today, we flew up into Pennsylvania, and then now Pennsylvania to Canada. So 2 trips from North Carolina to Canada, so maybe 2 trips from Canada to Maine into Canada again. So there we go. So the ever expanding Lake Ontario as we cross over. And we bid farewell to New York State here momentarily. And as we fly over the water, let's bring up NeoFly here. We can go ahead and serve some drinks, but I think so. We got Hurricane and Snoop. They are actually finished, I think. I don't think they're not in the air. But nonetheless, our log here, I think this is it. So starting off way back in Microsoft 2020, we started in Florida, Northeast Florida here, just outside of Jacksonville. And we worked our way. First we flew in here in like a Cessna 172 for a little bit, and then we worked our way out west here into Texas, Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico. We tapped into Mexico just for a touch, and then we went to Arizona, flew up California, and hung out in Oregon and the state of Washington for a while. Very pretty area to fly into or fly around in. A lot of little islands here. Did a little island hopping. And then we flew back down into Montana. I think we flew over Idaho. We hung out in Wyoming for a little bit. And then we did Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa. Flew into the Chicago area here. Kind of hung out here for a little bit. And then we made our way up here. We kind of zigzagged up and down the East Coast for a minute. So, but this was fun. We did some North Carolina trips here, Greenville into Raleigh, I think it was, or this was not Raleigh, but Triangle North Executive Airport, close, just outside of Wake Forest. And then now we flew up into Williamsport. This was our latest flight this morning. We flew from Lewisburg to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and then now we are flying up into this area here, right by, or maybe not that. Where are we flying to? I think it is this. I just don't think it's mapped out there. But nonetheless, we're flying over Lake Ontario here, as we just flew over Elmira, and then flew by Rose and Seneca Falls. So all doing good here as we fly over Lake Ontario. Did a little Bush Talk radio on this one. That's fun. And yeah, so appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate the love and support on the channel. We're super happy to have NeoFly up and going again. It's been a minute, and yeah, so very nice to have these different resources tagged on to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and makes the game a little more interesting and a little more enjoyable. So glad you're tuning in with me this morning. 7:01 local time. It's East Coast. Do a speed check. Looks like 201. Fuel's sitting really good at 38%. We got plenty of fuel. We're just going to be landing just on the other side of Lake Ontario here. So we are doing live weather, live time. So we got clear skies here. Go ahead and bring up our map. We'd probably go a couple of clicks over to the left. Thinking this might be our airport here. And if we currently sit at 5,100 feet, we can probably drop our altitude, but we're going to contact Toronto Center.
Cessna November 11 tree 615,100 feet.
Cessna November 11 tree 61 Toronto Center altimeter 29er. 9er tree radar contact continue.
That's around 1,014 in millibars. Think we got it. No, that's 1,013. There you go, 1,014. We're gonna select the nearest airport here, see if we can find it. We are landing in that Mohawk. Don't see it just yet on that. But I do think we are coming up pretty soon here. Alright, so it's not that one. But looking at our map here, we are getting super, super close. Runway 27 sits that way. Alright, we are going to drop our elevation here just a little bit. We're going to try 1,900 feet. Go ahead and turn on our seatbelt and safety lights for our passengers. See if we can find some information
Altitude.
on the airport. Longest runway is 4,270 feet. Elevation is 260. I think that might be the airport there. So CPU 6 is the airport that we're looking for. And we're looking at 130. We're going to extend our landing gear here, increase our throttle just a touch. That's the airport right over there, so we're looking at about 7 nautical miles away. Here it is here. We can tune to traffic. Select a runway for landing. It's going to be runway number 27, and we're going to announce our full stop landing.
Charlie Papa Uniform 6 traffic Cessna November 11 tree 617 miles southeast 1900 for inbound to land runway 27.
Alright, we're going to extend 15 degrees of flaps. Check our airspeed. 180 looks good. I think we want to land at like 140 or maybe 135 or 125. 125.
Autopilot.
We're going to turn autopilot off. Take full control of the plane here. Go ahead and just do a little sweeping turn around this river here. I don't know if you can see, but up here there's numbers on the map here. So we're going to line up towards like 27, and that'll line us up to runway number 27, which is right here. So at this point we can announce our final.
Charlie Papa Uniform 6 traffic Cessna November 11361 is on final runway 27 to land.
Speed's a little heavy at 145. We're going to thumb back on the throttle. nice lineup for the runway. Let's see if we can make a nice smooth landing here. Be number 2 today if we can do that. First one was in the 70s.
You greased that landing. Ace.
Alright, here we go.
Transporter from dispatch. Clear the runway and taxi to parking.
Alright, right on the other end of the runway here. We're going to taxi off to our right. And we'll go ahead and announce our taxi to parking.
Charlie Papa Uniform 6 Traffic Cessna November 11361 is taxiing to parking.
So we'll see how soft that landing was. I felt like it was pretty good. Go ahead and cross over. This is runway 15. We'll get off of this thing pretty quick. There's nobody in the area, so we are good. Crossing over runway 27. Now we're at the end by runway 33. There we go. We got the tower and parking down this way. Looks like we got some of the bigger planes around back, so I think that's where we'll go. So we don't hit this fuel truck. Leave it right here. We'll set our parking brake, hit our flaps, turn off our engines.
Transporter. Disembarking of passengers can begin.
Alright, so let's go ahead and check out our landing here. I think it would be under log. CPU 6. Our landing was minus 17, so actually almost too soft of a landing.
Transporter from dispatch. Disembarkation completed. Thank you. See you soon for another mission.
So we got dinged for
You can start your engine now.
overspeed. And what was this one? Oh, the beacon landing lights. I thought we had that on. Oh well. So nonetheless, we had a good run here, 7.9 million. We'll take it. Appreciate you tuning in. Hope everybody enjoys their Saturday morning. We're going to try to do another one later on this afternoon, maybe. We'll see. That would be number 3.